And I think we're committed to keep coming back until we can lift children out of deep poverty. So we're happy to be here today. My name is Wayona Nelson Davies. I'm the Executive Director of the Economic Progress Institute, along with Rhode Island Kids Count and 50+ other organizations. We formed the Raising RI Coalition, and we're really proud to join forces to help on improving the Rhode Island Works program. I want to start a little bit with our why. Why is improving the Rhode Island Works program important? I've been reflecting a lot on Dr. Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. this year. And in his last speech the night before he was assassinated, he reflected on the parable of the Good Samaritan. And he challenged the audience in that speech to ask a question when there are others who need our help, like that person on the roadside needed the Good Samaritan help. And the question is, if we do not help them, what would happen to them? And so, when we have children and families in the state of Rhode Island living in extreme, deep poverty, I would like us to ask ourselves that question. I would like the General Assembly members, governors, when we are introducing bills and supporting bills, when we're putting together a state budget, I would like us to ask the question, if we do not do something to lift children and families out of poverty in the state of Rhode Island, what would happen to them? And so we are grateful that we have legislative champions who have asked themselves that question and have taken the charge to lead. Please give it up for Senator Murray and Representative Haney, who have taken the charge to lead this effort. I would also like to recognize other legislative champions and sponsors who are in the room. Senator Acosta, Representative Haney, I already recognized Representative Bennett, Senator Yuji Fusa, Representative Donovan, and I'm looking in the room. I'm going by the list, so if I don't see you, I know you're here. Representative Cruz, Representative Bolin, and Senator Favaldi. Thank you all for being here and joining us today. So in true EPI fashion, I want to start by sharing some numbers. 30. It took 30 years to increase the cash benefits from 30% of the federal poverty level to 40% in 2021. Second number, 35%. That 40% increase we got in 2021 is now at 35% value because of inflation. That's a 5% decrease. $721 per month. That is the cash assistance a family of 3 have to rely on monthly based on what they're currently receiving in the Rhode Island Works program. We are talking about people who are living in deep poverty. 5,000. That's the number of children who are receiving Rhode Island Work benefits. And so we, the members of the Raising RI Coalition, are back because there's still more left to be done. We are here to, 1, protect vulnerable populations from inflation and ensure that they do not bear the brunt of economic instability by increasing the monthly benefit to a mere 50% of the federal poverty level and incorporating that crucial and critical cost of living adjustment. We will be taking concrete and intentional steps to do something to help Rhode Islanders. We are back to push for the repeal of the full family sanction. This is punitive, and it is not based on justice, and it's not based on compassion. It disproportionately impacts children and families already burdened by significant barriers. We are back. We are back to remind ourselves that legal permanent residents, children, and families are also Rhode Island residents. By extending the Rhode Island Works benefit to LPR families, we are not only upholding our values of fairness and equality, but we are joining the rank of 13 other states who have done this. And so we are back to ask ourselves that question. If we do not help the poorest in our state, what will happen to them? We ask that you join us. We're going to be heading to the floor after this to ask ourselves that question. And now I would like to call my partner, my friend, the Executive Director of the Rhode Island Kids Count, Paige Colchester Park, to join me up here.
Thank you, Iona, and thank you everyone for being here this afternoon for this kickoff event. I also want to thank Jessica Vega, the Senior Policy Analyst at Rhode Island Kids Count. There she is waving in the back. And Divya Nair from Economic Progress Institute for all their hard work to get us here this afternoon. So Iona started us off by asking the question, why? And here's why I think this is so important. Children in poverty, it impacts all of us. And none of us should tolerate any child living in conditions in which they do not have the resources they need to survive and thrive. Children in poverty, especially those who experience poverty for extended periods of time, are more likely to have physical and behavioral health challenges, experience hunger, experience difficulty in school, and earn less or be unemployed as adults. Children in poverty are also less likely to be enrolled in preschool, more likely to attend schools that lack resources, and have fewer opportunities to participate in extracurricular activities. In December of 2022, 70% of all Rhode Island Works beneficiaries were children. This is a children's program. And 39% of the children enrolled in Rhode Island Works were under the age of 6. These are families that need our help, and they are in every single city of our community, with Block Island being the only exception. The Raising Rhode Island Coalition, we are grateful to Speaker Sircarci, Senate President Ruggiero, and Governor McKee for this past years of partnering with us for improvements to Rhode Island Works. However, there's still some notable gaps that we must continue to work on. Senate Bill 2337 by Senator Murray and House Bill 7686 by Representative Handy provide positive steps forward so that we can reach the goal of ending child poverty in Rhode Island. This bill, as you heard Iona said, would do 3 things. It would protect our poorest children from inflation by increasing the monthly benefit amount to 50% of the federal poverty level and include a cost of living adjustment. It would undo the harm we're doing to our children by repealing the full family sanction. And it would support the well-being of our immigrant families by restoring the eligibility to lawful permanent residence. Here's another reason why. Rhode Island has disinvested our state dollars in Rhode Island Works. The total expenditures for our cash assistance program, combining both our federal and our state dollars, has decreased by 85% between 1996 and 2021. Right now, this program is 100% funded through the federal block grant called TANF. We only spend 14% of our federal block grant on cash assistance. This is significantly lower than the national average of 22%. And because we're no longer putting in our own money to help our families in deep poverty, it causes a strain on the TANF program. So critical programs like cash assistance and childcare are pinned against each other, creating a scarcity of resources. However, the reality is Rhode Island Works and childcare are both critically important because they build and they sustain and support the workforce of our state. We need to have both, and we can have both if we invest in our families. We are so thrilled that Raising Rhode Island and Right from the Start campaign are partnered together because we understand that this cannot be one or the other. We must invest in both. So thank you to the Right from the Start campaign for joining us. For our state's economy to be more prosperous, we must address the systemic issues of poverty. If we want to increase the income of all Rhode Islanders, we must remember all Rhode Islanders. We must remember our families in poverty. We must get them into work by improving our workforce development program like Rhode Island Works. I want to thank Senator Murray and Representative Handy for being our strong champions year after year And I'd like to invite Senator Murray for a few remarks. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Paige, and I want to thank EPI and Kids Count and the Raising Rhode Island Coalition, which is over 50 plus organizations every year. It gets larger. So, as y'all know, Rhode Island Works is the state's cash assistance program for children and their parents or caregivers, including grandparents, and a work readiness program for the adults. Rhode Island Works gives parents the training and ability to become future child care workers, medical workers, and other desperately needed employees. It helps families get off of assistance and obtain a better quality of life. It's a lifeline for women trying to escape a domestic violence situation. Increasing the Rhode Island Works benefit can break the cycle of poverty by providing parents with education and training opportunities leading to well-paying, secure jobs, and can help end deep child poverty in our state. So you know this bill protects Rhode Island children and families from deep poverty and the effects of inflation by increasing the benefit amount and adding a built-in cost of living adjustment that would follow increases in the federal poverty level. Without that cost of living increase, the current and any future investments we make will continue to lose value. The bill undoes harm to children by eliminating the full family sanction, which falls disproportionately on parents who have significant barriers, including physical and mental health challenges, limited access to transportation, or experiencing situations like domestic violence that may prevent them from program compliance. Full family sanction due to noncompliance hurts the children of these families by no fault of their own. And this bill supports the well-being of immigrant families by eliminating that 5-year waiting period for LPR residents, a waiting period that was not originally included in the program. That was added in 2008. So last year, I offered the following scenario to my General Assembly colleagues, but I really think that it bears repeating because it's something that we really need to think about. Imagine for a moment having to live on only your General Assembly stipend. Now imagine having to raise a child on only that stipend. How about 2? And you're thinking, well, that's not possible. Yet the current Rhode Island Works benefit for a family of 3 is just $721 a month. Not only is it a mere half of the stipend we receive, it's just 35% of the federal poverty level. 35% of what the federal government says you need to survive, never mind thrive. And unlike Rhode Island Works families, we get a cost of living increase. So 3 years ago, we made a historic increase to this program, the first in 30 years. However, because we did not include a cost of living adjustment for these vulnerable families, much of that progress has been wiped out by inflation. The effects of living in poverty on young children are significant and long-lasting. They're at greater risk for cognitive, emotional, health-related problems, detrimental effects on executive functioning, below-average academic achievement, poor social emotional functioning, developmental delays, behavioral problems, asthma, and so much more. Children in poverty are more likely to have higher rates of school absenteeism. And how do we expect children to learn 365 when they are hungry or cold or unsure of where their family is going to sleep that night? We have $98 million of unspent TANF funds that we can use to increase this benefit amount. And I understand we want to have reserves set aside to continue benefits in the case of an emergency, but how much longer are we going to make these families wait? How much longer are we going to make them languish in poverty? What is the plan? These children can't afford to wait another 30 years. They can't afford to wait another 5 years. These families need our help now. And honestly, if we don't address the issue of child poverty, everything else we do in this building is just a Band-Aid. It is time to adequately fund Rhode Island Works, break the cycle of poverty for these kids, and only we, as legislators, can make that happen. We have the funds. Do we have the political will? Who's with me? Now I would like to introduce Representative Art Handy, who has introduced these bills probably longer than I for at least the past 5 or 6 years, or however long it's been.
I actually don't know how long it's been, so that's a bad sign, I suppose, for the bill. But thank you, Senator Murray, and thank you for your leadership in the Senate. I really think it's been vital to the success we've had. But as all the folks before me have said, we really have still some really important work to continue to do. Wayona talked about that 5% number, going from 40% to 35%. But if you really take that and what that means, that's effectively a 12.5% cut to the amount of money those folks are getting. Think about if you, making a lot more likely than not than these families, had to deal with a 12.5% pay cut. That's what we're talking about right here. And so that's why it's so vital that we really get this anchored at a higher percentage, first of all, the 50% number, but second, that we also protect that number with the COLA. It really is just a huge impact. And as Senator Murray had said, I think that a lot of my colleagues, unfortunately, don't maybe have a full appreciation of really what we're talking about. These aren't big numbers we're talking about, but small amounts make a big difference for folks at this kind of a perspective. If you really look at what your real basic needs are, they likely far outpace the benefit that we're talking about right now. And so then if you just take that number, it's just sort of boggling. If you just take some time and really drill down into it, I think folks start to appreciate it, but you have to take the time to do that. So I urge my colleagues, whether you're watching or whether I talk to you next week when I'm going to continue to bug people about it, to really to do that, to spend a minute, really think about what we're talking about here. You know, if you're talking about $9,000 a year, for most of us, that's an inconceivable number to try to live on. So something I remember I used to say when I was working on these kinds of bills was, you know, we're all in this together, because that was a sort of phrasing that you'd hear from people trying to pull me along to do something I didn't necessarily want to do so much. But I think it's a really key thing. And maybe that's the sort of counterweight to the question that we're asking, is that's the answer to a certain degree, is we're all in this together. We're a community. Whether, you know, just because somebody's not a citizen doesn't mean they're not part of our community. They're not our next door, they are our next door neighbors and things like that. So I think it's really vital there. And those same parents that we're using these sanctions on, which, by the way, data doesn't demonstrate that those sanctions even really work. So not only are they sort of really inappropriate and wrong in a lot of ways, they're also not really demonstrated to even work. These are our neighbors. These are our community. So we really need to step up and make these kinds of changes. I could go on and on about it, but I think we've already kind of gotten through those pieces. But I really do fundamentally believe, intellectually, emotionally, every which way, everly, that this really is a fundamental need that we have to take advantage of. And as Senator Murray said, I mean, if we're not doing this, what are we doing? So I want to thank all of you for continuing to work with me, be a part, have my back as I'm working on this. I want to make sure I have all your backs as we're fighting for this, and I want this to be the year where we make a win on this. So with that, I want to introduce Mirtha Morissette from the Genesis Center, who's going to continue to help us understand more about this problem. Marissa.
Hi, my name is Mirtha Morissette, and I am a former member of the CCAP as going through poverty and inflation, and it's very wrecking on how we have to perceive being helped the least possible. It will be an honor that the CCAP benefits could continue to help us and help the families, because going through poverty is not something easy. And it's something, like everybody has said, children go through behavioral problems and developmental problems, and it's something that we should see that we all need help on, especially all the families that are very in need. And like I said, I am very happy for all the help that I did receive back then with them. And going through sanctions, it was something hard, having to wait periods of time, 3 and 4 months, just to wait to be able to get some assistance. But it's like when you get it, you're gasping for air, and it's like, it's a relief. So I would be very happy if you guys could continue to help the families that are in need. Thank you.
And unfortunately, Pastor Santiago Rodriguez couldn't make it today. Well, first of all, I want to thank Martha Morissette for being here to speak about the Rhode Island Work program.
I think she's one of the most important person in this room who could talk about her experience, so I encourage everyone to go up to her, talk to her, learn a little bit more about what she had to go through the family sanction that no child or no family should have to go through. So Pastor Santiago Rodriguez could not be here today, but we have Jody from the Genesis Center, who has been a huge support of the Raising Our Eye Coalition and a huge support to get Martha out here, to close us out with a prayer. Come on up. I'll stand with you.
Thank you for coming today. Let us pray for the poor, hungry, and neglected all over the world, that their cries for daily bread may inspire works of compassion and mercy among those to whom much has been given.
Amen. Thank
Amen.
you.
So the moment you've all been waiting for. So if you haven't got a Raising Rhode Island t-shirt yet, please make sure you get one, beautifully designed by Jessica here. So make sure you grab a t-shirt, because what we're going to do next is we're going to go out into the House floor. That is where or Senate floor, either one. That is where our elected officials are there. And it's normal, so this is normal for people to go out onto the floor and talk about the bills that really matter to them. So we'll be going out, and you can find folks who are there at their desk, walking around, milling around, and introduce yourself. And you can say, I'm here for the Rhode Island Works program. You have your talking points. The sheets were right on your chairs there if you want to know more about the program. But really, you're going to talk about yourself. Like, why is this important to you, as Wayona started off? Why do you think it's important for us to improve the Rhode Island Works program? How does poverty impact the children and the families that you know that you work with and your neighbors? Speak from the heart and let them know and say, hey, we really hope that you will support Representative Handy or Senator Murray's bill. If you see someone that has the button on that says Raising Rhode Island, it means they are already a co-sponsor of the bill. It means they already support it. So if you see those folks, it's always nice to say thank you. Thank you for your support. They need to hear from us too, so that they have, our support. So say thank you to anyone with the circle on. If they don't have a circle, go ahead, introduce yourself. They are here to hear from you, okay? You are not going to bother anybody. Don't forget, they work for you, and they need to hear from you and to know why this is so important. Okay, so if you haven't gotten a t-shirt, please make sure you pick one up. Also on the chairs is a map of who's sitting in what seat. So if you want to know, match names with faces. You don't have to study it, but some folks like us like that kind of stuff. But just go introduce yourself and have a good time. Okay? Any questions before you go off? Are you guys pumped? Oh, boo. You guys pumped? All right, let's do it. Let's go tell them. All right. Thanks, everyone.